This is about a buddy of mine, the most decent guy you could ever be lucky enough to call a friend, and how he got nuclear revenge on his cheating ex-fiancée who dumped him for his best friend, all the while still being the most upstanding, greatest guy you can imagine. I've pieced this story together from things my friend and his wife have told me over the decade that we've been friends. There's not enough room to tell you how great this guy is, but believe me, he's been there for me like a rock when things were darkest. Cast of characters. Let's call my friend Buddy, the ex-fiancée Lisa, and the hapless best friend Richard aka Dick. As you read this story, you have to always remember that Buddy is literally the greatest guy on the planet. Dick is, well, kind of a dick. Annoying as hell, but my buddy says he always means well, and his heart is in the right place. Lisa is as big of a cheating, lying, self-centered narcissist as ever walked the face of the earth. Other people are Ray, another high school friend of Buddy and Dick, Jen, Buddy's wife, and Bob and Linda, Dick's dad and mom. All the names are fake. The background. Our story begins when Buddy, Dick, and Lisa are all in middle school together at a typical suburban high school outside of Southern City. Football team, Friday night lights, etc. The three of them are all in marching band, inseparable friends. If you know band types, Buddy plays the French horn, Dick plays the tuba. ADK what Lisa played. Probably the flute because it's a cliche. Buddy and Lisa are boyfriend/girlfriend, and Dick is a happy third wheel. As they get older, Buddy and Lisa explore the physical side of their relationship, like normal high school kids do, while Dick is happy to be a player. He's decent looking, so he has no problem getting action, and also occasionally makes use of the professional women in their town. This will be important later. Buddy and Lisa, typical good students, go on to prestigious public university in Southern City. Dick drops out of high school, but, a self-taught programmer, winds up with a decent career in tech. Buddy graduates college early with honors and proposes to Lisa at his graduation dinner, with a small diamond because he's put himself through school and that's all he can afford. She accepts. Buddy gets a job at fancy consulting firm in prestigious city. Lisa finishes college back home in Southern City. Comes time for Lisa to graduate. Buddy helps his fiancée also get a job at fancy consulting firm. During her last spring break, she flies up to prestigious city to visit Buddy and interview for her job. Gets pregnant. Flies back home. Tells Dick she's in trouble. He takes her to the abortion appointment. Neither of them tell Buddy. Ever. I heard about this from Buddy's wife, who heard it from Dick one night when he was drunk. A fake Buddy still doesn't know. Buddy, if you ever read this, sorry dude. I should have told you, but it wasn't my place. The betrayal. Lisa realizes, when she doesn't want to tell Buddy about her abortion, that she can't marry him, but she's not brave enough to break it off. Instead, she ghosts him, and he finds out through the HR department of fancy consulting firm that she's turned down her job offer and won't be moving to prestigious city after all. Buddy calls Dick and Dick says, "Dude, I'm sorry, but it's worse. Lisa and I are now a couple. You can punch me in the face next time we get together." Somehow, Buddy and Dick decide that Lisa isn't worth destroying their friendship, so they stay best friends. Going hunting together on Dick's family place in the country, etc. Lisa is not happy about this, but Dick tells her that if she makes him choose, he'll choose Buddy. The follow-up. Buddy takes a year or so to get over it, and starts dating again. Pretty soon, he meets Jen and falls madly in love, crazy in love, and to make things better, Jen is just as crazy about him. In less than 6 months, they're engaged. Now, the thing you have to understand is that Lisa is drop-dead gorgeous. She's not tall enough to be a model, just average height, but she's got these giant blue eyes and super long eyelashes, long, shiny, wavy dark brown hair, an exquisite face, and a terrific figure. She's prettier than a movie star, and being beautiful is really important to her. Jen is pretty enough, but regular, and she really and truly TGAF. Dick travels to prestigious city without Lisa to meet Buddy's fiancée. He and Jen really get along. Jen gets along with everyone and reports back to Lisa that Buddy is really happy. His fiancée Jen is awesome, etc. Lisa gets jealous and pouty when she hears about Jen's Ivy League education, but then Dick makes a point of telling her that Jen is nowhere near as hot as Lisa, so she'll stop sulking, at least until she gets an invitation to the wedding. Lisa pitches a fit, refuses to go, and tries to prevent Dick from going, but there's no way in hell he'll miss his best friend's wedding. So he goes stag. NBD, it's a super small, low-key wedding. At the wedding, Dick reconnects with another high school friend of theirs, a guy named Ray, whose date to the wedding was actually someone else's wife. Ray has a thing for married women. This is important. Buddy and Jen go on living their best lives. At some point, Buddy gets an Ivy League MBA. His career takes off like gangbusters. They pop out a couple of kids. Jen quits her career to be a SOAM. They're rich as hell, still crazy in love, and blissfully happy. A couple of times a year, the guys get together and bring their wives along. At some point, Dick and Lisa get married. Buddy and Jen are not invited to the wedding, by the way. But the women get along okay. Jen gets along with everyone and Lisa is happy because she's thinner and prettier than Jen, especially after both women have been through pregnancy and childbirth. The years tick on. Things get complicated. One day, this is around 2008, when Buddy, Jen, and Dick are all playing WoW together. Dick gets them on TeamSpeak and tells a haluva story. Dick and Lisa have continued to hang out with Ray, their high school friend who has a thing for married women. He's turned his eye on Lisa, who, even after 3 kids, is even hotter than she was in college. She's leaned heavily into the MILF role. Meanwhile, Dick has had enough of her nonsense. He's decided to divorce her 3 times, but each time, when he tells her, she cries and gets all pouty. They have one last time, unprotected sex. She gets pregnant, and bam, Dick and Lisa's 3 kids. Ray goes in hard with his practiced seduction routine, and Lisa cries to Dick that she just can't stand it, and can she please just have sex with Ray? They do. Dick watches, goes in for sloppy seconds, and Lisa and Dick's marriage enters its suburban swinger era. Dick gives Jen and Buddy every gory detail over the course of a 2-hour conversation, while they're all killing wolves on low-level alts in Elwyn Forest, and Lisa is upstairs with a bottle of wine. It's obvious, during their next visit, that Dick wants to join in sexy fun times with Buddy and Jen, but they're not into that, and after an awkward 5 minutes, things go back to normal. The kids all play together, the women make small talk, and Buddy and Dick hang out together doing the normal things that guys do. Dick tells Buddy that the reason they're into swinging is that he gets off on watching Lisa being degraded, and Lisa gets off on making Dick feel like he isn't man enough for her. This marriage is not happy, but Dick wants to stay married, because Lisa is hot as hell, she's got a solid career, and he's a mid-level tech guy with a GED who works from home while he takes care of 3 kids, so he'll never be able to do better. Things get worse. Dick calls Buddy to chat. His marriage has gone to hell. Lisa has, in her words, met the love of her life. She's moved on from Ray and from the swinging scene, and is now having an affair with a guy from the accounting department at her job. She's staying out all night. She's ignoring the kids. Dick and Lisa take the kids on a swank vacation to try to focus on their family, and spends all her time crying because she misses her AP and she doesn't want to be there. She doesn't want a divorce because she knows she'll lose the kids. She's drunk all the time, and she doesn't want to have to pay Dick child support. She wants him to let her live whatever life she wants while he does all the cooking and cleaning and childcare, and still brings in 50% of the household money. Lisa also will not you about how she could have married Buddy and been like Jen, a SOAM in a giant 5,000 square foot house with 6 bedrooms and a pool. I should mention that Buddy has also had a Neville Longbottom style glow-up and gone from a nerdy band kid to a silver-haired, super confident high-level executive in a top-tier consulting firm, whereas Dick is still the guy working from his basement in sweatpants, covered in Dorito crumbs. He has been working on himself, but there's no way he can compete in Lisa's eyes, although both Buddy and Jen tell me about Dick's great qualities. Lisa is jealous, hopping mad, and she blames Dick. Dude, trust me, I know, she is bad news. Leave her, Buddy tells his friend. It is the last conversation they will ever have. Holy at $%. This is terrible. Buddy gets a call at work one afternoon. It's Bob, Dick's dad. Dick got drunk, woke up Lisa at 3:00 a.m., told her that he'd never loved her, that she'd never been enough of a woman for him, that he'd been visiting prostitutes during most of their marriage, and that he hoped she would go to hell. Then he blew his brains out in such a way that the splatter went all over her and all over the bed. When the ambulance got there, she was hysterical, sitting on the curb outside the house, screaming over and over again, "Kill me too. It's all my fault. It's all my fault." Later, Bob would call Buddy to tell him that Lisa specifically says he is not welcome at the funeral. Bob and Linda, Dick's parents, step in to take care of the 3 little kids who did nothing wrong and do not deserve this, while Lisa does nothing but work and drink. The coup de grace. About a year later, Buddy flies to Southern City to put flowers on Dick's grave and visit with Dick's parents, Bob and Linda. Bob is still in shock, but he and Linda have taken Lisa in as a daughter. Lisa's mom is dead, and she's NC with her dad and stepmom to try and help her through this as much as they can. Why did Lisa say it was all her fault, and why did she ban you from the funeral? Bob asks Buddy. What do I know? What's the rest of the story? Why did Dick do it? The moment of ultimate revenge. Buddy thinks for a minute and decides that it will help Bob and Linda to understand the tragedy that happened to their son if they know the full story. So he tells them everything. Bob and Linda have continued to do everything for the 3 kids, and they continue to treat Lisa well, because that is best for the children. But the clock is ticking. Lisa's remarried now. When the kids are old enough, Bob and Linda will tell them the whole story. The youngest kid will be 18 soon. Buddy is still grieving over his friend. Summary. What did Buddy do to get revenge on his cheating ex-fiancée? Stayed friends with the guy who stole her, letting her know how important she was to him versus the friendship. Moved on and married someone smarter, nicer, and less pretty, letting her know how important her best quality, only good thing about her was to him. Had a hell of a successful career, causing her much jealous anguish. Had a massive glow-up between 30 and 40, causing her much jealous anguish. Had a terrific marriage, causing her much jealous anguish and also letting her know that the problem in their relationship was not him. Respected her boundaries when she uninvited him to his best friend's funeral, causing best friend's dad to ask the fateful question that, Imo, ticks this over from karma to nuclear.
Next story.
I will try to summarize this as much as possible, though context first. Worked 9 years at a well-known company, worldwide provider of various products. Won't name this company, but it was a division of this company I worked for. I started at this company at the bottom as a tech, did my job well, and excelled upwards. After 6 years, I was promoted into the national support group, and also then excelled at this position. It was well paid in salary, which was very nice bump in pay, and the hours were great. After a year in the new position, I was promoted to a co-operator position, which I shared with another, which we were very good friends and got along very well. To this day, we still do lunches and chat quite frequently. Now I was trained up on the in-house software that runs the dispatching of texts, which was made by a in-house software developer, which the software used codes for areas and states, very complex, but for him it worked, though no documentation whatsoever, no manual, nothing. The guy that had the position before me was leaving the company for a better offer, so he took a month to train me on this software. And of course, I wrote down all the codes for all the areas just so I didn't get anything wrong. Since there was no manual or instructions, he leaves the company. A year later, the developer of this software dies from cancer. So now, no one but myself knows how to use this software. And taking vacations were far and in between due to this issue. I constantly asked for a backup to be trained so they can do this job while I go on vacations. At this point, I could only take 2 days at a time for vacation, and my wedding was upcoming in 8 months, and we were taking a month-long honeymoon. No-go got denied every time I requested a replacement to be trained. When my co-operator and I took over this new department, it was in shambles. Our turnover for repairs was sitting around 8 days, which upset a lot of customers due to these machines being used constantly during working hours. We brainstormed and came up with solutions to fix this and reduce downtimes dramatically. The bad thing about this is that it put extreme pressure on logistics to get parts overnighted to techs in the field, which logistics manager was awkward with, which he in turn hired enough guys to take this burden on, and was working out pretty well. This turned out to be great. We reduced our downtime from 8 days to on average 2 days. Customers commented constantly about how much better our service was and how they were definitely happy with how their repairs were going. Then it starts to go south from this point. My manager was looking to move up the ladder and need to hire someone for his position. Of course, me and my co-operator apply for position since we know how to run this division and think we could do the job great. We both get overlooked for manager's friend, which he had no experience in this division whatsoever. He was actually the one of the logistics purchasers. He has no idea whatsoever to run our department, nor any technical experience whatsoever. He of course gets this position, and right off the bat, this stupid idiot wants to change how we do things and reduce the strain on the logistics group. Co-operator and myself immediately protest and oppose his changes with prejudice and vigor, though this fell on deaf ears. When he tells us to implement the changes, I refuse, and so does my co-operator. For weeks, we argue with manager's friend, which is now my manager, and he gets upset and continuously fights with us to make the changes. We again refuse. I emailed his manager and explained the situation and pointed out that it would increase repairs and our customers would be very unhappy. At this time, we grew the base of our customers 20-fold, and our satisfaction rating on all our reviews were in the upper 90s. Though these emails and everything that co-operator and I were explaining went on deaf ears. At this point, manager's friend feels that I am the instigator of the disobedience, and that week I was called into a conference room with HR, manager's friend and his manager. They informed me I was going to be demoted from operator to dispatcher due to my inability to be a team player and confrontational to my manager, etc. So I said fine with me, meant less work and same pay, so I'm ok with this. Now with this job, you had certain functions of the job that you could and could not do. You could only do what was assigned to you for that job description. Dispatchers could only dispatch calls to techs and not assign their own calls. That was my previous job. My co-operator at the time was in charge of escalations and onboarding techs and did not know the system I used to dispatch these calls. Next day, I come in and sit at my desk, waiting for calls to be put on my board, knowing that there was no one now to dispatch calls to the dispatchers. After about 4 hours, I get approached by manager's friend, asking why I was not dispatching calls to everyone. I politely said, "Remember, I got demoted. I can't dispatch. It's not part of my job description, and I don't want to be fired for doing something that I am not allowed to do." The dread on his face could be seen as it streaks up his back and hits him full force. At this point, he realized he just fucked up. Of course, his manager and HR did not know anything about this software that was developed in-house and had no instructions on how to use it. It was the backbone of this division's dispatching software. Without this, no calls could be dispatched out whatsoever. The news is now getting around that no calls are being dispatched, and manager's friend's manager now enters and asks what is going on. He soon realizes as well what happened. They then call me back into the conference room and ask me to train a replacement. Of course, I refuse. The day ends and I go home. Next morning I show up for work on the dot, and they call me back in yet again, offering my position back and to please start dispatching calls as soon as possible. Of course, I refuse the promotion, pointing out key points that they brought up during my demotion meeting on why they were demoting me. And because of those points, I felt I had to overcome them in order to be able to accept the promotion, and it would be a great time to focus on my abilities that they outlined. They were flabbergasted and frustrated clearly. They get upset and tell me that I am holding the company hostage and that they will have to take me to court. At this point, per my contract, I am now entitled to a lawyer, and they have to pay. Few days go by, of course, no calls being dispatched. They are now relying on emails and phone calls to get calls dispatched and parts ordered, and it's pandemonium abound. It is adding so much more time to each call, and ordering parts, the whole system is falling apart. I finally get contacted by a lawyer telling me that he is to represent me, and that he is being paid by the company I work for, but that he works for me, period. That he cannot talk to them without my knowledge. He cannot do anything against my own interests, and that he is being paid by them, but works for me. He goes on to tell me that they can't force me to take a promotion, and they can't fire me if I fulfill my obligations of the employment contract, which was pretty easy. Basically just show up on time, take breaks and specify time, and leave at specified time. So I do. This goes on for a month when they are finally getting to the breaking point. Repairs are exceeding 2 weeks, and customers are canceling their repair contracts due to service issues. They decided to demote me again to logistics. Now the manager of logistics is a good friend, and he thinks this is retaliation for all these issues, so he just says to me to take a desk over in the corner and do my thing whatever I wanted. He wasn't going to punish me for their stupidity. We go to court, they present their case, and my lawyer presents mine. After 2 days, the judge rules in favor of me and says that a company cannot force me into a job or doing a job that I do not wish, and this would be considered enslavement. They press the judge to have me turn over the information to run the software that runs their division. The judge asked me if I had it written down. At this point, I didn't have it. I threw it away, so I answered honestly to the judge. Though I did say I do remember how to use it, and all the codes to dispatch. Since I did it for years, it became like second nature. Judge asked me if I would be willing to write down the instructions. I politely said no. Judge said, "Och, that's that then." Upon coming back to work the next day, I decided to start looking for another job. After about a month, I found a new position at another company, making about 10% more and with better options, and also agreed to give me the month off with salary for my honeymoon. So I wrote up a resignation letter and sent it to my manager, his manager, and the senior staff of the division, and also the CEO of the company, explaining everything that went on and why I was leaving the company, and wished them the best. That Friday, I packed up my personal stuff and left. 2 weeks later, I get a call from the CEO of the company apologizing for what happened, and that all this information just came to light, and that the individuals involved were terminated, manager's friend and his manager, and the one above him, which was sweet to my ears, and offered my job back. I politely declined. A few weeks after manager's friend was fired, I was told by my good friend and co-operator that he died from a drug overdose, which is sad and completely not deserved, no matter how much I hated him. The division I ran was merged into another division a year later after it was not able to recover. 30% of the people that worked for that division were laid off or transferred to other divisions. My co-operator is still working for same company, though he said after this whole ordeal it never recovered and never was the same and had gone downhill dramatically. And he will be retiring this year.